And welcome back. We have done now a simple animation with this bouncing ball that can effectively go around our screen. And one of the things that we did do previously is we had a small transformation, a little deformation that happened here. But let's go today and try to make another bouncing ball animation, something pretty simple. But let's go ahead and see if we can apply a couple more transformations in here so we get really kind of honing in on some of those skills. So I'm just going to go ahead and create a new image, but let's go ahead and this time up this to 128 by 128 because we want to go ahead and increase our skills here with something a little bit larger. And so now that I have a 128 by 128, that looks good. I'm just going to go ahead and for now, let's get started by hiding the timeline because I'm not going to need that right away. And so here's my 128 by 128 image. And let's say I want to have, again, 8 frames of animation. So I'm just going to go ahead and start with frame 1. And let's go ahead and duplicate this so we have a total of 8 frames here. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Looks good. Now, what I want to do is I want this animation effectively. What I want it to be is I want to have like a platform where I can have my ball start from. So maybe I have it drop on it, or maybe I'm going to have it roll off. Either way, I wanted to have a platform here, and then I want that ball to fall and then bounce a couple times before coming to stop, or maybe having it go off screen. So let's go ahead and start by first making our platform. I'm going to go ahead and increase my brush size. Let's go to 5 this time. And I'm going to just go ahead and make a very simple platform. Hold down the shift key to make it straight. That looks good enough. And let's go ahead and switch now to being able to do our ball. So I'm going to increase this in size. Let's go ahead and go with, I'm going to go a little larger this time. Let's go with size 9. And the thing about this ball that I'm going to do that's a little different than our last one is if I do a color with this ball, let's just pick red for now. This is a good start for this. Now notice I'm on frame 8, which, not the end of the world here. I can always just rearrange these and change this to 8 and that to 1. No big deal. All right. If I want to add some more effects to this, let's say I want this ball to have multiple colors. And that's something I want us to kind of focus in here, is to add some colors to this so that way it's not simply just a single color. I'm going to, let's just say, make this a 2-tone ball. So let's just go ahead and use our selection tools here. So we can just go ahead and select this. Oh, I make sure I'm on the right layer. Go ahead and select that ball. Now notice I accidentally grabbed the platform as well. So I want to make sure I'm just grabbing that ball. And then while I'm on that, I'm going to go ahead and switch to like my elliptical tools just so I can move that selection over a little bit. And maybe go about halfway here. And I'm going to fill this other half in now with a different color. Maybe instead of red, maybe I want to make that like an orange tone or yellow. I can go ahead and just pick a tone that I think is looking good. That looks pretty good there. And let's go ahead and just switch back to our brush tool or pencil tool and go ahead and fill it in. Now notice, of course, it is filling in past that selection there. So I do have to be a little careful here. So I'm just going to go ahead and zoom in a little bit here using Control+. Scroll back up here. And I'm actually going to just decrease my brush size a little bit. And I'm going to use that as this now as a guide to go ahead and just paint this in here. All right, notice it won't paint outside of it, but I have to be careful I don't paint over it. And so I can just take that brush size down to finish filling that in. That's Control D to deselect, Control 0, take me back. And so here's my multicolored ball to start. Now, we do want this, of course, to move across each frame animation. Now, we could do like last time, I can duplicate the layer, all right, and go ahead and move that. We, of course, could also just use our selection tools to go ahead and select everything, and then copy and paste them on into each layer, and that will effectively also do the same thing. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy and paste this on each of these layers here. Now, you will notice, I'm going to go ahead and hide layer 1 and hide these other layers just so we can work on each layer individually. On layer 2, you notice it did put it in the same location. Now, we don't want to move the platform. The platform's in a fine place, but we do want to effectively move this ball each time. So I'm going to go ahead and just grab my move tool here. And you notice if I try to move this, it's moving both of these objects here. And we don't want that to happen. We want to, again, just grab just that ball. So let's just go ahead and select the ball region here. Grab our move tool. And now we can move that around. So that ball is maybe going to first bounce here off of the platform, because we do have it started here in frame 1 above it. So let's deselect. I'm actually going to, on frame 1 here, use my quick select tool to grab that ball. And then let's go ahead and just move that up just a little bit. So it's going to have effectively get a small bounce before falling. So frame 2, now it's hitting that platform. And then maybe what I want for frame 3, so let's go ahead and go to frame 3 here. Let's move those in place. I can just slide those kind of right on top. Mask layer 2 here so I don't see it. Do a quick select of this ball. And I want this one to, remember, hit the platform. So maybe now I want this to fall off the platform. So I'm going to have it first actually come up a little bit. So it's effectively going to bounce up and off. So that looks like a good spot right there. And let's go to frame 4. Same thing. Let's move that up. I want to make sure that my platform hasn't moved. This is where duplicating can come in really handy versus copying and pasting. However, one advantage is it's also allowing me to see kind of a little bit where that previous frame has been a little bit too. So I'm just going to go ahead and hide frame 3 here. Make sure I use quick select to just grab that ball. And let's go ahead and move that ball. I'm just going to have it come on down. And again, let's go ahead and move this into place. Use our quick select tool to grab that ball. And move that one down. I'm going to have it fall to, let's say, right here looks pretty good. Frame 6, and repeat, and so on and so forth. I'm going to go ahead and pause the video. When we come back, I'll have this all moved, and then I'm going to show you how to do some transformations to go ahead and do your own when we come back. All right, and welcome back. We have now gone ahead and added this transformations all in here. I actually decided I wanted to add a 9th frame animation, which is fine. I didn't need to, but I decided I wanted to add a 9th frame animation here. And I could easily add a 10th frame animation where the ball's completely off the screen, which I could just simply do by duplicating another layer. And then on that layer, just say, hey, I don't want that ball there anymore. So if I were to, for example, just go to frame 10, say, let's grab that ball, and just hit the delete key. Now there's no longer a ball on frame 10. All right, looks good. So how does this all come together now? So if we look here at, for example, frame number 1, we will notice that we have in here a couple different things going on. All right, in frame number 1, let me just go ahead and hide all these layers real quick here, just so we can kind of see everything as we kind of move frame by frame. Here's frame 1. There's frame 10. Looks great. 9. Oh, it looks like 9 moved a little bit, and then there are pixels there. That's no problem. That's one thing we can find when we are going through this. We can find small errors that we might say, hey, you know, I need to fix that. And so we can just grab our quick selection tool and easily just move that back up to where it needs to be. No problem. All right. And let's follow this ball frame by frame. So let's go ahead and resume our timeline here. And let's just go ahead and frame animation. And of course, right now we want to animate this for each of the frames that we have. So I made 10 frames, so I made 10 frames down here. So frame 1's right here. So let's go to frame 2 and just turn on frame 2, so on and so forth, all the way until we get everything to where it needs to be. Now, one of the things I did mention is that we need to go through and add some deformations. Now, if you recall, when we did this last time, we went ahead and did that with just the edit transform feature. So let me just back it up here a little bit to frame number 2, I think it is. So what I'm going to do real quick here, and then of course I'm going to have you do this for a couple of your bounces, is I'm just going to go ahead and grab my quick select tool, go ahead and click on that ball there. I want just the ball. Now I'm on frame 1. That might make a difference. So frame number 1. Now notice, because the ball and this are touching, it grabbed the whole thing. So I'm going to actually hold down the Alt key here and actually take this back so that it's not having the platform, but just the ball. Now, of course, it might be a little tricky to get up in there, and so I might actually have to zoom in just a little bit here and adjust my brush size so I can get the right pixels selected or deselected in this case. All right, so now I have just that ball. And now if you remember, we go to edit and transform. Now, of course, we have different options in here. So for example, if I want to scale that ball, I can easily just click edit scale, and I could easily scale this up or down in size. Or I can go into, if I don't want that, I'll just hit cancel. I can also do other transformations such as rotation, skew, etc. And there's of course also the free transformation option too. So since this ball is coming in impacting down, I might say, I want this ball to actually shrink down a little bit. One thing you will notice is that it might actually try to eat into this platform a little bit, which is not the end of the world. And of course you have the different interpolations here that you can mess around with as well. I'll let you go ahead and decide which transformation you think is best, but let's go ahead and apply that for each time this ball is hitting these different platforms. And what I want you to do as a challenge here is to go ahead and maybe apply a different interpolation or a different transformation for every time that ball hits, just to go ahead and see how that looks differently. All right, we'll see you in a bit. And welcome back. Hopefully you got a chance to play around with some of the different transformations to make your ball do different things. So I'm going to go frame by frame with mine here, so you can see I have, of course, in frame 2 some deformations, and you can see I have applied some different effects to this ball as it's gone along. Now, one thing you did notice here is that as my ball tumbles through the air, I do have a rotation effect applied to it. So that might have been something that you didn't apply. So if you didn't apply that, it's very easy to do. I'm going to show you real quick. I'm just going to go ahead and select this ball down here. Let's go to, looks like I'm on frame 8, so I'll just select on this here. So if I want to rotate it, I go to edit, transform, and rotate, and I just give it an angle measurement here. And that angle measurement, of course, is going to change how I want that ball to rotate. And that's a real quick, easy way to help simulate something falling. So I'm just going to cancel this because I've already applied this. And if I look at my animation here, let's go to frame 1, and I press play, you'll see that the ball falls, it bounces, and kind of rolls off screen. So it's a very simple animation. Now, one thing I will show you real quick is, notice right now it is set to forever. If I go ahead and toggle that so that it's no longer forever, I can change that, for example, to run once, and then you would see this ball come down, roll through once, and the animation would stop. But that is, of course, another ball GIF that we created, and I hope that you had some fun applying some of the different transformations. Maybe you will even go back through and apply some rotation to yours, so when yours falls, it is having, of course, effectively some falling here going on. And of course, you do see I have a platform that's skipping up and down. I could either keep that, I could change it. That is the beautiful thing about animation, though, is that it allows us some freedom to come in and work with different things.